After my first degree, I stayed on at Oxford. I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to stay on to study for a DPhil in atomic physics, actually looking at interatomic collisions. But as time went on, it became clear to me that wasn't really what I wanted to do. I enjoyed the research. I think I enjoyed the toys. I enjoyed, you know, the actual doing of the research. But to me personally, the goal was too far removed from reality. I'm not in any way denigrating what was being done or why it was being done. It was just that I didn't see the relevance of it and had a sort of hard time in justifying it. I think also I was probably suffering a bit from what nowadays is called imposter syndrome, namely that I felt that maybe it was all a bit above me. Whether that was justified or not, I don't know. And I was unhappy, I suppose, in that I was following a well-trodden path. So I was doing research which frankly wasn't really very different from the guy before me. And so I just didn't feel that it was for me. And I thought, well, okay, I've got a mistake, I made a mistake, what do I do now? I didn't see any point in trying to do something similar somewhere else, because I thought I'd just come back to the same point. So I thought, well, the best thing to do is to look at what I'm interested in, what I'm good at, you know, where my hobbies lie even, and see if I can find a route down that road. And I was lucky enough, because I was interested in electronics and I'd been involved in sound recording and all sorts of things, and classical music, I was really, really lucky in finding a job with the Decca record company, as it was in those days. Okay, when I was working for Decca, Decca was primarily a classical label, and most, if not all, the recordings we did were done on location. So an orchestra or whatever would not come into our studios, we would go to them. And that was actually in some ways part of the Decca USP. Even if that meant going to the other side of the world, we would do that with our kit. A location that we used quite a lot was the Kingsway Hall in London, which was very well known as an excellent recording studio. It had very, very good acoustics, and these were regarded as, you know, some of the best in the world. The Kingsway Hall was in fact an old Methodist chapel, but it was a very dirty, tacky place in very, very poor condition. There was sort of paint peeling off the walls and things like that, but nevertheless, and perhaps possibly because of the layers of grime, it had these excellent acoustics. And I do remember being on a recording session with George Schulte conducting, I think it was the London Symphony Orchestra, in the Planet Suite by Holst. And those of you who know the Planet Suite will know that Mars, in particular, the bringer of war, is a very loud piece, and just as the orchestra reached its crescendo, there was an almighty crash as bits of the ceiling started falling off and descending on them, which meant the whole thing suddenly collapsed into a fit of hilarity. And I was with Decca for 2 years and had all sorts of interesting experiences, which, you know, in many ways was what people will call an ideal job. It was the job everyone wanted to do. But what I think I was coming to realise that it wasn't intellectually challenging. I'd mastered the job. I could do it. There was nothing new. There was no new thing to do. And so again, I thought, well, where do we go from here? And I really didn't know at that point. I really didn't know. So I did all the usual things. I was looking through advertisements and talking to people. And one day, in the back of the Physics Bulletin, Journal of the Institute of Physics, I saw an advertisement. It said National Institute for Medical Research wanted someone with experience in optics and acoustics. And I thought, well, I've got the optics from Oxford, because I was heavily involved in the research I was doing, and acoustics, Decca, microphones, loudspeakers, I know all about that sort of thing. That's a pretty unusual combination. This job is for me.